Welcome to Coach Magic, the show for the woman who is all in on creating a life, business, and family that's beyond her wildest dreams. I'm Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to help you get confident, focused, and paid. Let's rewrite the rules and get moving in the direction of your deepest desires. Ready, set, go. Hey, everyone. It is Jenny Fennig here, welcoming you to a live session of Coach Magic. Welcome. We have an incredible speaker series over these next few weeks, and today we're kicking off with our first speaker. Let me tell you who she is. And I just, again, want to welcome you to Coach Magic. This is really the show for those of you who want to have an extraordinary life and business, helping people, doing what you love, doing it online, doing it on your own terms, and really getting that courage and confidence to take the next right step. So today we have Rishawn White with us. Let me tell you about who she is. She's a spiritual and creative woman. Most of all, she's a conqueror. Rishawn is the owner and founder of Infinity Life Coaching, where her mission is to assist others with transitioning from a life of existence to a life of living in peace and prosperity. Rishawn is a mother of 7 and a grandmother of 10. That right there just is so inspiring. Her family is her lifeline. In addition to sharing insights into her journey as a coach today, Rishawn will offer tips on creating your next chapter, or as she calls it, ushering in a season of forgiveness. She is a graduate of Magic Makers Coach Certification, which is our powerhouse program dedicated to helping you master the craft and business of intuitive coaching online. And we'll talk more with Rishawn about her experience in our program. And today we are ready to help inspire you to take the next right step in your work. So welcome to the show, Rishawn. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here and also being your first speaker. That is an honor.
Well, someone's got to go first, right? And that is, I always say that to people like, hey, don't be afraid to go first. Someone's got to be willing to do it. And so when I put the call out to some of our graduates of Magic Makers Coach Certification, like, hey, here's what we're doing. We'd love to have you on. I loved seeing that you grabbed that spot quickly and came in our first spot. And I always say to people, leaders are willing to go first. We must be willing to go first. And sometimes that feels a bit scary. And sometimes that feels like, well, is anyone else coming? Hey, well, who else is going to be there if I go first? But that's that whole path of really being a leader and also being a coach, because I believe they're one and the same, that willingness to go first. And when we are here to help people, they will see that in us. Ooh, she's willing to go do that thing. She might be the right person to help me go in the direction I'm meant to go in, but is really freaking me out. So, all right, Rishawn, let's talk more about your career path, because I know a lot of people have questions right now about what they're doing in their lives. You know, this era that we're living in right now has caused a lot of people to think about what they really want to be doing. Some have shifted out of jobs, they've lost jobs, companies have changed, they've downsized. And, you know, a lot of people are in what is called like the great reset or the great resignation. And they're really wondering, you know, what am I here to do with my life? And so just talk to us a bit more about your career journey, you know, what you've done during the various, decades of your life, and how those things have led you to this career of coaching.
Well, I want to say I started my career with becoming a fingerprint examiner. I used to work for the Federal Bureau of Investigations many moons ago. And doing criminal background checks and things of that nature. And it hit me during that career, what are the stories to these fingerprint cards that I'm processing? What are some of the back lines? How did people get there? How can they get to a life of prosperity and get out of the life of criminology? And so I think back then, not knowing what I was asking of my life, that's not where my journey started, but one of my pivots or milestones of my journey started. And then after that, working for the Bureau for about 15 years, I started working in another aspect of public safety, and I was working with juvenile justice. And then from there, just looking at the lives of our youth and how is it that they are in a mode of survival, where parents aren't really parenting and children are really taking care of families. So I started to see how family dynamics were out of sync, people's lives were out of sync. And then moving forward, I started my career with the state of Maryland, working for public safety and correctional services. And then started working the tail end where people are now getting their criminal history expunged. So it was sort of like me going back to my very first question of how did these people get on the journey and how do we get them back to where they're supposed to be? And now I'm expunging records to help them to get back to a life or get to a life of prosperity. And now I'm not working, but God has put me in a life of reset. And so I went through all of that to understand people's life cycles. And very early on, at an early age, people used to come to me all the time, and I might be, fast tracking some of the questions, but ask me, questions like to listen to them and things of that nature. And I always wondered why people were so drawn to me. So I've always been a people person naturally, but at this point in my life, I've now learned how to reach the masses a little bit better. You know what I mean? So even though I'm not working, I think that this is my pause phase for me to replenish myself, to get back out there on the battlefield and to help people pull the things out of their minds to reset them, just like I've been reset.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about a little bit more later on, how do we reset, ourselves, change our mindsets, and how I began to do that or rebrand myself so that I could be the person that is out there helping others reset and rebrand. You know what I mean?
Totally. And to your point, I mean, it sounds like you've had a lot of different jobs and I always like the stopping points on the journey. I meant to go work at this company for a bit and I'm working at this company, and we can always trace that thread, which I think is fascinating. But what you're really talking about is that you're in this place of really deciding how you want to build back better, how you want to take all of your training, all of your skills, all of your passions, and serve your community and do it in a way that has looked different in the past because you're now out on your own. You're saying, hey, what do I really want to do here? And it takes a lot of courage. I remember when I, was in that myself, having worked for companies for all the years, other people's companies, other people's organizations. And then when I was out on my own, it did feel like, because I had a period where I wasn't, quote, working, but the time when you're not working, honestly, is the time that you're working the most.
Right.
Because that's when you're figuring it out. And the figuring it out process is it's humbling, it's exciting, and it's filled with questions that you have to answer. You have to answer. No one can answer them for you. So how did you know that? I mean, you said that people tended to be drawn to you. They would come to you for advice, or they would just tell you their life story, or, tell you what was going on and really want your counsel, or just to be that sounding board or that ear. How did you even discover that the path of coaching was even a thing, like that it was actually a job, it was a career, it was a craft that one can do with their life?
Well, with working some of the companies that I've worked with, especially in leadership, they do a lot of assessments, and a lot of my assessments started pointing towards mentoring, coaching, a people person, one that was a very good listener, a good advisor, and two, with being a mother of 7, you know, that tends to help as well with coaching others. And my kids always would bring their friends or their coworkers and say, hey, why don't you talk to my mom about it and see what aspect she could give you on going forward with this or whatever. So that has always been what has happened, you know, to kind of draw me to and say, well, maybe this is what I should be doing. These other things are not really my niche, so to speak. And maybe this is what I really should be doing. I've even had people come to me and say, you should be a minister. And I was like, nah, I don't think that's my calling. Not to say that I'm afraid to get up and speak or what have you. I did have some downs, if you will, where I have gone into certain aspects of like public speaking, and only to be told that maybe that's not for you. Or when I was mentoring in some arenas, telling me that, no, maybe that's not for you either. But I did get one bright beam of light that did tell me while doing an assessment that that is my calling and this is what I should be doing. And then I thought about it and I said, you know what, you're right, because everything that I've done up to this moment has shown me that this is my calling. And coaching, all you have to do is just polish some things up and then move forward with my teachings. And then that's what led me to you. You know, thankfully to Tracy I'm, and I have to give her the utmost appreciation for that. I would not be here today fulfilling my calling, because she really pointed it out to me and showed me that this is my path. And so directed me to your teachings. And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more in regards to the program. But I just feel so set free since then.
I'm so happy for you. And I love what you said about, you know, because when we're called to coaching, it's already inside of us. It's not something that is completely bizarro, like out of left field. It's already within us. And yet it's also a craft that we can commit to, and we can honor the craft, and we can learn about the different tools, about the different skills that we can utilize with our clients, because it's important. It's not something we just want to go in blind. You know, you really want to honor what this is, because it is a very, very powerful transformative tool. So that's absolutely a piece that I firmly believe in. And I believe in investing to learn here and being around, you know, teachers and guides and fellow classmates, you know, peers who are committed on that path as well. But the piece that I want to hop on here that you mentioned is being able to share your teachings. That right there is the magic. And when I trained to become a coach back in 2008. It feels like literally like light years ago. It's like 2000. It really feels like, you know, back in the dinosaur times, you know, in 2008, we couldn't even be doing this right now, this live stream conversation back then. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't an option. But as I go back and trace my own journey, when I discovered, yes, coaching, and then, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to train, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do it right. And then, all the programs I've put out, the people I've helped, the thread that goes through it all, and the thing that most excites me is the ability to teach, the ability to say, I've learned this stuff, I've practiced it, I've not only used it with myself, I've used it with other people. It freaking works. And I'm going to, you know, shape it. I'm going to slice and dice it and put it in a program. I'm going to lead it as part of a retreat. I'm going to put it into a book, which I know you are starting to write your book. And I want to give you a chance to talk more about that. And so this really is this powerful craft that basically amplifies who you are as a transformational teacher. And when we have this skill set as a coach, we're able to activate something inside of our clients, inside of our community. So I want to talk to you now about what you call a season of forgiveness. Tell me more about what that is.
So my season of forgiveness is forgiving myself of all the things that I've put myself through. Typically, when people think about forgiveness, they think about forgiving others, but we never think about forgiving ourselves for the journey or the decisions or the pivots that we've taken ourselves off the journey that is destined for us. Yes, during the journey, we learn things, and we're supposed to take what we learn to apply it to the journey so that we can move to the next level. And so in my season of forgiveness right now, I'm doing a lot of reflecting on my life to see what things did I do right, what things did I do wrong, and what did I learn from that? Or am I just existing through my journey? So one of the sayings that I've come up with is existence is painful, but living is peaceful. And what do I mean by that? When you exist, that means you're just going through your day-to-day, just doing the same old thing and in this vicious cycle and never changing anything about yourself, never evolving, just hoping and wishing that things just change for you and become better. I'm now in a path of living, which means that I'm very sensitive to my surroundings, the birds chirping, the bees buzzing, watching the grass grow. And I know that sounds crazy, watching grass grow, but I started with walking on a track. And every day I associate that with my life and saying I'm walking on this track in a circle every single day. And what do I see? I see lines in the pavement that tells me there's a division, right? And that means there's some division in our lives that we should and should not go across or stay within. But it also tells us that we have to burst past those lines to get to a greater path, a greater way of living, right? So what I did was I stopped walking the track and start walking nature. And what I saw was all of God's possibilities for not just for myself, but for what he has created, and I started getting excited again about life. And how many of us can do that? Can really see past the possibilities and say, oh my gosh, I've been living this whole hum all my life. I'm 53. And so this is my year of 8, my season of 8. And what is 8? 8 is infinity sideways, right? So now I'm saying, even after this, I'm still going to leave something behind me that's going to be life-changing, long-living, of possibilities. That is what infinity is. And so in my season of forgiveness, what I'm doing is taking the good and the bad and forgiving myself of not really living and only existing. There's so many people out there that are dying from so many things. And I've watched some people that have had diseases that they can't even come back from, but still living life till its fullest and saying, I'm not going to give up until, I have to. But that changed my life, because for someone who doesn't have something like that, why am I complaining about not having a job or can't pay my bills or what have you? But what am I doing about it? Mm-hmm. So God has given us everything inside of us to do what we need to do while we're here. We have a job to do. We're not here for ourselves. We're here for each other. So I'm not doing my job if I'm not living to my fullest and showing others how to get from being whole hum and existing and having a whole life of possibilities and now living. So that is what my mantra, my legacy will be until I no longer have any more breath. So I thank you so much for helping me redirect my path, Jenny, because it is your teachings that has shown me so much about myself. You know, it's not just about coaching, it's also about learning yourself so that you can regurgitate what you have learned to somebody else to help them on their path. Mm-hmm. So that's my track of forgiveness.
Yes. Woo, that is powerful. Now, is that going to be what you're going to expound on that in the book? I know you're working on this book. If you want to take a moment and just let us know where you're going with that.
Oh, most definitely. So I've been writing this book, and it is in regards to my journey. And it is also the journey of other women, powerful women that have been in my life. And so it's sort of a collaboration of wisdom, knowledge of women and how powerful women are and how we have really been the secret of life for so many years. You know, I've looked at the legacy of the world and saw how men have been very powerful, not to take anything away from men, but we have, as women, been right there in the forefront as well, helping to shape and mold and not being given the credit for it. And so, you know, we hear of history when it should be also herstory.
With you.
We hear of kingdoms, but there should also be queendoms. Mm-hmm. And so that is going to be the name of my book, Her Queendom. And so it will show you the legacy of powerful women, everyday women, not someone famous, that have left a powerful legacy. I think of my mother, who was an educator, and I'm sorry, I had to take a moment to give her a shout out.
Sure.
Up in heaven, because she's no longer with us. And she was a very strong pillar in my life. And it wasn't until her funeral that I realized how powerful her legacy was. You know, the people that drove to the funeral home, the church, to pay their respects, and even afterwards, even to this day, they still talk about her as if, you know, she's still here and how much they miss her as well. But my mother was an educator, and she touched many, 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 many lives. And it's not until I realized that as a teacher, you do touch people's lives. So as a coach, you know, you touch other people's lives. And I've always said, if I could be just an inkling of the woman that she was, you know, I'm a blessed woman. Well, I am a blessed woman because when I look in the mirror, I see her every single day. I hear her when I speak. And when I'm doing things, I'm like in awe. I'm like, wow, that's something that she would have done, you know? So I just want to express how powerful women are, because girls rock, you know?
Oh, yes. I'm so excited for that. And I love that, you know, the message has come through, you know what you're going to call it, because that's a big piece of the process too. What am I going to call this thing? What is this piece of work called? And what you just said, you know, that teachers touch lives, coaches touch lives. Let's just talk. This has been a very powerful conversation. We're coming around to the end, and I want to give you a moment now to just talk about, you know, what you most, you know, what were some of your greatest takeaways from Magic Makers Coach Certification? You've gone through that program. It was very robust, lots of training, coaching calls, resources, just ideas to consider, action steps. You know, we break things down in a very clear way, because I know what it takes to have a coaching business, an online coaching business, write books, have a podcast, put your content out there, coach clients in all the different ways that you can. And so I'm curious what your greatest takeaway was from the program, or what you most enjoyed.
My greatest takeaway is you gave us no excuse to not finish the program. Mm-hmm. It is self-paced. It is very a relaxed, upbeat, very encouraging atmosphere. What I really, really loved about it is how you got us to embrace one another. Always had a platform to be able to give a word, encourage one another. What are you doing today? Mm-hmm. How are you going to make the most out of this week? What exciting is happening that we can help you celebrate? Even if it was a little piece of something, we made it enormous, you know. So every day was a celebration. Every milestone was a celebration. If someone was sick and was now feeling much better, we celebrated that. If somebody's birthday, we celebrated that. You know, no matter what it was, you made it an environment that was cohesive and available. There was no time where we couldn't just put something in the chat, mm-hmm. excuse me, mm-hmm. and you did not respond, or somebody didn't respond. You didn't feel alone when you were going through the journey of the teachings. So the other thing I want to say is with making it so easy and available to self-pace yourself through it, you also checked up on us. There was never a time where you had sub coaches that also was there to like do breakout sessions and talk to us when you may not have been there, but at least somebody else was there that you felt comfortable to entrust us to. Because as us being babes in coaching, you know, and no matter where we were in our journey, you know, you made sure that somebody was always there to talk to us, to answer any questions or anything like that. So I would say to anyone who is thinking about coaching, or even maybe getting something for themselves out of it, mm-hmm. That this is an excellent, excellent, excellent program. You make it affordable. Mm-hmm. You help others with understanding that if you don't invest in yourself, who will? And that's the biggest thing. And so I want to say, if anybody wants to, it's time to invest in yourself. Stop waiting on someone else to say, oh, I'm going to give you a grant or a scholarship, or oh, I really don't have the money. Think about what is the important step and how this will help you to encompass on other things, more things, and be more prosperous in your life. Because we think about a lot of times, oh, I don't have the money to do this. But did you think about what the pro would be if you did? That's the thing. What is the pro, not the con? Because it's not a con. Now you conned yourself if you didn't do it, you know? So I would encourage anybody who is thinking about mentoring or is a mentor at this point. It's nothing wrong with going back to school and to polish your skill sets so that you can better yourself to better others. So that's how I feel about this program. It is an awesome, awesome collection of women.
Oh, you're amazing, Rishawn. It was so incredible to have you in. And I just love being able to watch what happens when someone like you goes in with, goes into this experience with an open heart and commitment. That's the thing. You got to be committed. Anyone who's tuning in, whatever it is that you're considering, you have to be committed. You cannot be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You have to. And I know it's hard because I go back to when I was training to become a coach and I was like wrapping my head around everything because the future is always unknown, but you are the known entity. You are the known factor. And if you know about yourself that you are committed, that you will show up and you trust that you will be able to figure out whatever life throws your way, then you are in a good place. And this path of coaching, who you are as a coach, it sets you up so well to be able to handle life. And that's so awesome, right? Like you can do it for yourself and you can help your clients with this as well. I want to thank you, Rishawn. And I want to let anyone tuning in right now know we are enrolling for our upcoming class. This is the last time that we will be offering live coaching and support with Magic Makers Coach Certification. We're going to go out with a bang. It's going to be an incredible experience. You can go to magicmakerscoach.com. find out more details, and certainly send me a message if you have any questions. We look forward to seeing who our next class is. We've already gotten our first registrant came in today. It's very exciting. And it's like anytime you launch something, you open the doors. Okay, I just want to give you all this little tip. You're going to have that moment you go, what if nobody signs up? I had to be real with you on this. And we talk about this in this program. And I have lots of other programs out there that I've led in the past and I currently lead or will be leading in the future. And group programs especially have my heart. We have a bonus training for you in the coach certification on how to lead group programs and how to create them. But you are going to have that feeling of what if nobody signs up? And I honestly think it stems back to when we were little kids. What if nobody comes to my birthday party? What if nobody wants to do this thing with me? What if I'm all alone? And so we have to make sure we're doing our own work, and you've got to be willing to put yourself out there and trust. Do your part, move your feet, move your mouth, get yourself in the right rooms, get your mind right, get your energy out there, and trust that when you are truly aligned and when you believe with your whole heart, miracles, miracles, miracles happen. Rishawn, I think you're incredible. I am excited about the book that you are putting out there. I'm excited about all the work that you're doing. I know people can get in touch with you here on Facebook, here on Instagram. We'll tag those pieces up on the various socials. Please, y'all hook up with her. And Rishawn, please do keep us posted on all the awesome things that you've got going on.
Definitely. I know I've got a newfound sisterhood in you, and I definitely will keep you posted.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to this live episode of Coach Magic. We've got more awesome stuff coming your way over the next several weeks. I look forward to it. And here's to this incredible craft of coaching. To all you coaches out there, future coaches, I salute you. We are the change that we wish to see in the world. And I am just so thrilled to see where we all go from here. Be well, everyone. Take good care.
Bye-bye.